Welcome back. This is Wealth and Wellness Wednesdays, and you are tuned in to the Minding My Temple podcast with me, your host, Tasha T. It is season 4, episode 2, and today we're going to focus on reviewing the basics. I like to review the basics at the beginning of every season because it helps to provide a foundation of what's to come the entire season. It gives us the basis of where everything else is going to build from. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is we're going to review the basics. Yes. So remember, the basics are going to usually include information on meals, information on movement, information on mindfulness, and information on migrate, which is my travel section. However, today we're not going to get too much into travel. Maybe a little bit. We'll see how it goes. However, we are going to talk about some basics in meals specifically and movement specifically as well. And every episode, I always talk about mindfulness because I have my little section I call Minding My Business. I don't know why I laugh at that all the time. I just think this section is so cute. And I just think it's just so much fun because I get to talk about what I'm doing in my life to share with you guys how I find balance from day to day. And I hope the things that I do could possibly resonate with you, or that you can just see that I'm a completely normal person out here trying to find balance in my life just like you are. And so the Minding My Business section is specifically designed to help you mind your own business so I can help me mind my own business. Because again, we have to tend to ourselves. Taking time and taking moments to specifically focus on ourselves is really important, because I know for me, the only way I can go out here and be the best person I can be in the world is if I take time to acknowledge myself and do something that makes me feel good. When I say mindfulness, I'm not ever going frou-frou out there and otherworldly kind of like, woo. I'm just saying, let's do something for ourselves that's fun, that feels good, something that's all yummy. You know, that's what I'm talking about. So for me, this week, I'm going to share with you guys what I'm doing to mind my own business. Now, I'll be real honest. It's been a rough week. I've had a hard, challenging, let's reverse, not use the word hard. I've had a challenging time navigating through my routine in the beginning part of this month. So work has been a little crazy, and I've been doing my best to get back on track. I really function very well in my life when I have a routine. I'm one of those routine people. I really enjoy a schedule. I really enjoy doing things on a consistent basis. And motivation gets challenging for me when I don't have my regular routine. And so I have not been able to work out like I want to. Thus, that's the reason I have on these workout clothes in this video, because I thought if I put my workout clothes on now, that it will encourage me to work out after I'm done with this. So I was like, okay, let me get hyped up. Let me go ahead and put my workout clothes on. Shout out to Fabletics if you're wondering where I got my cute little outfit. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, you can go check out the video on my YouTube page, Minding My Temple, or on the TLSC radio platform under fan page. But I'll give you all the information again later, because if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I have this great, fabulous blue looking outfit. It's so cute. But going back to getting off my schedule, getting out of routine, and trying to get back on track, my workout has suffered. I also try to do things every day like meditate and journal, and those things have suffered as well. And a lot of people often ask me, how do I stay motivated to working out and staying motivated to, continue daily with my schedule and routine? And I tell people, it has nothing to do with motivation. I'm never motivated to work out. I'm just gonna be real honest. It's not that at all. I don't go out here and I don't think to myself, oh my God, I'm so excited to work out today. It's gonna be exhilarating, it's gonna be fun. That is not my attitude. I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. I will keep it real. That is not how I feel about it. Now, do I feel better about it after I work out? Absolutely. However, there is not a lot of motivation to do it. I'm gonna tell you what really gets me through. It's discipline and consistency. Just being real honest. It's not easy, but it's simple. So when I looked up the word discipline, what I found out was practice was in part of the definition. And then when I looked up consistency, 2 words that stood out to me was uniform and steadfast. So what I actually do is not called motivation, just to be real clear. I do discipline and consistency, which I thought of when I put the 2 words together, uniform practice or steadfast practice. And so what I do is I practice working out often enough that it becomes like a uniform to me. And when I get out of that uniform practice, that's when I have a hard time getting back on track. So no, it's not easy. No, I'm not motivated. But I do it so often and make it a practice that it becomes uniform and steadfast for me. And that stood out because a lot of people always ask me, like, I don't know how to fit it in. I don't know how to get it done. Like, I work a 9 to 5, y'all, like day job. Then I have 2 podcasts. I also have a nonprofit farm. Like, I try to also spend time with friends and family, and I don't have time either. And so I just make it a priority. I'm disciplined about it and I'm consistent. So I have uniform practice. That's it. There's no other, I don't want to say advice, but there's nothing else I can say about it, but that's it. What I do know is that I am very uncomfortable with how I feel when I don't work out. And so if I do have one motivating factor, it's the impact it has on my mental health. I do know that for me, anxiety and depression are things that I have a challenging time navigating through. And I also like to feel healthy, strong, and balanced in my body. And when I don't, that has an impact on how I feel in regards to navigating through that depression and anxiety that I often experience. And so I do know for my mental health, it does make me feel so much more, I don't know the word I want to use, but I don't want to say better, but it just makes me feel more alive and more like myself. And it allows me the opportunity to be content and joyous and productive. So I do know that because I do have those challenges with depression and anxiety, I don't want to add to that the challenges I may have around my health, my strength, and my body from not working out. So that could be a motivating factor. But even in that, that's not enough to like get me doing it 5 days a week like I do. And so again, it really comes down to discipline and consistency, and that discipline is that regular practice. Think about successful athletics teams. So think about the Bulls when Jordan was playing. Think about the Lakers when Kobe and Shaq were together. Think about, the Heat when LeBron and D Wade were playing together. In order for them to get great at what they do and to win championships, they had to practice. And so if I don't get into a practice of doing things, how do I ever expect to win the championship? Whatever that championship is for you. So my championship is making sure I feel good in my body so that I can extend my age and feel good through these stages of life. And that's exactly what it takes, is that consistent practice. And one thing I do want to say about that, because again, this week I'm up to getting back to those practices that have gotten me to the place in health that I like to be at this place in life. And, we look at ourselves as adults, and we've grown to this point where we now have responsibilities and, we have all these tasks we have to do. But in reality, all we are, are kids that are bigger with more responsibilities. So if you think about it, those of you guys who have kids work really well on a schedule and a routine. When they get off their schedule, they're crazy. They're running around, having temper tantrums, falling out, crying. You know how that looks. And so when we get out of this schedule and this routine, even as adults, it takes us to these temper tantrums. We're having road rage. We are yelling at our spouses. We are, doing all these things that seem crazy when we're off of a routine and a schedule. So just because we're adults now doesn't mean that we don't function well in a schedule and a routine. We actually do. So when you have balance with meals and you're eating regularly throughout the day, you're moving your body throughout the day, you're doing something for yourself throughout the day, and you do it in a routine or in a uniform practice, you'll actually start to feel a little more balanced about your day. And that's just from my experience. And then try it out. See what happens. Make a routine, make a schedule. And my routine isn't that specific, but I know there are certain things I want to do every day, and I want to allot some time for those. Of course, we want to have a little spontaneity in there, but I can guarantee you, let me tell you, getting back on track does not have anything to do, in my experience, with motivation. It has more to do with my practice and my consistency, or my discipline and my uniformity. So if you want to win a championship, trust me, Brady didn't win all them championships because he didn't practice. So get into a practice of doing the things that you've set out to do. And again, I'll be working on getting back on track and continuing to practice this week. That's what I'm up to. I know that took me a while to get there, but I'm getting there. Now, today I'm going to touch on the basics like I stated, and specifically I'm going to focus on meals and I'm going to focus on movement. And because I just talked about my physical activity and my lack of doing so over the past week, I want to talk about what is recommended in regards to basic movement. And I'm specifically talking about physical activity. And so the recommendations are that we move our bodies in some way, shape, or form for 30 minutes, at least 5 days a week, consistently. Again, we go back to that uniform practice. So find something you really enjoy, whether that's walking or running or biking or dancing or roller skating, which I love, or roller blading, or whatever it is that gets your body moving. You could do Pilates, you could do yoga, and you want to do, or you could do a mix of all of those things, and you want to do that for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That is the basic recommendation for physical activity, and that will help you keep your health goals in order. Now, if you're looking for more than just your health goals and you want to strive for weight loss, you need to either bump that 30 minutes up to 1 hour, or you need to intensify your activity. So if I'm walking for 30 minutes, then I can keep that same 30 minutes, but if I want to work out for weight loss, I would run for 30 minutes instead of walk for 30 minutes, or I would walk for an hour. So either you're going to double the time, or you're going to double the intensity to start being in that weight loss area, or that weight loss my words, I can't get them straight today, but to be in that area of weight loss, you either have to double the time or double the intensity. Okay, now that is physical activity. I'm going to spend the last couple of minutes on meals. And the reason why I want to do that is because I do want to spend some time talking about how to balance a meal and the basics. A lot of us have things going on in life that keep us from eating basic balanced meals because we're so caught up with the day-to-day. And I want to give you a simple, not easy, but simple way to balance your meals on a regular basis that's basic. Okay? So we're going to always go back to the plate method. I'm going to always go back to the plate method because I think it's the easiest way to have all of the food groups together and also be able to balance your portions without it seeming like a job or that you're measuring and counting everything. And for me, I found that working with people, it's easy because it's visual and you can see it. And so the plate method is super simple, it's super easy. Again, I do it every season, either episode 1 or 2, because I want to go to the basics, because that's going to be the basis of everything else we talk about throughout the season, especially when we're talking about meals and balancing. And so what you'll do when you have the plate method is you're always going to take a standard plate out of your kitchen, just a standard plate, y'all. You don't have to go get a fancy plate. You don't got to get a section plate. Just get a regular plate out of your regular cabinet. And you're going to take it and you're going to divide it into 3 or 4 sections. Now, If you divide it into 3 sections, this is a lesser calorie plate. So if you're really interested in weight loss, you're gonna do the 3-section plate. If you're into weight maintenance or you're really getting heavy into exercise and you're doing strength training and things like that, you wanna do a 4-section plate. Or you can mix and match. You might wanna do a 3-section plate for breakfast and a 3-section plate for lunch, but then a 4-section plate for dinner. I'll tell you what I do is I do a 3-section plate for breakfast, I do a 4-section plate for lunch, and I do a 3-section plate for dinner. And that's because when we break down which foods you're gonna put in each section, you'll realize that the energy section I have more of at lunchtime because it's the middle of the day. Now, there are 3, you see my number says 3, it says 4, but there are 3 basic food groups, but there's an extra one I'm gonna throw in here that we call a free group. So there are 3 basic food groups and an extra 4th one that I consider free. So the most important food group is gonna be number 1, protein. Protein is often like the oil in your car. So when you think about eating and fueling your body, think about the things that you would need to keep your car running, because a lot of us spend more time taking care of our car than we do taking care of our bodies. And our cars don't even last that long. Now, what you're gonna first do is think about protein and think about it in the way that you would think of oil for your car. Oil keeps the engine going. Protein keeps your body stable. That oil in the car makes sure that engine stays stable and stays strong. And protein in the body helps your body to stay strong and stable. It keeps your organs together, it keeps your muscles together, and your muscles keep your bones together. And so that's the most important stuff. Think about your heart as an organ, your lungs as an organ, your brain as an organ, your kidneys are an organ. It keeps all of those things stable, and then it keeps your muscles strong so that you're able to walk, you're able to move your arm, you're able to move your finger, you're able to move your mouth, you're able to blink your eyes. All of that is muscle. And so everything that happens in the body requires protein. However, protein does not give you energy. Protein are going to be your meat-based foods. There's also foods that are veggie-based that have protein, but your protein-based foods are going to mainly be your animal products. And then you have vegetable-based foods like tofu and beans and lentils that also have a little bit of protein, but they do not fall in that family. So if you take your section of your plate, so if you have a 3-section plate, you're going to have your plate divided in half, and then one of those halves is going to be cut in half, so you have 2 quarters and a half. If you have a 4-quarter plate or a 4-section plate, you're going to have 4 equal sections on the plate, and in the middle you'll put like a cross. Now, one of those quarters is going to be filled with your protein foods. So just make sure you fill that section with some kind of meat-based protein, or if you want to do a vegetable-based protein, you can do something like beans and or lentils. So that section is where your protein goes. Do not overfill that section, because guess what? If you overfill your oil tank in the car, it is a waste. If you overfill your protein section on your plate in your body, it's going to be a waste as well. The catch is in your body, all waste turns into body fat. And if we're trying to stay balanced, guess what? The scale's gonna tip. The balance scale is gonna tip if I overload on protein, which means my weight's gonna start to go up. And then when my weight goes up, it impacts my health, and we're trying to stay healthy, or I like to say balanced. So be mindful about the protein section. So that's number 1. Protein is like the oil in your car. It keeps everything stable. And you can use some meat-based products, and it fits in the quarter of your plate. That's number 1. So the second most important thing is going to be carbohydrates. Do not be afraid of carbs, ladies and gentlemen, please. All carbs are like gas for the car. It's the energy. It makes everything work. It makes the heart beat. It makes the lungs breathe. It makes the brain think. It makes the eyes blink. It makes the arms move. So it gives me energy to make sure all of those things can operate effectively. Just like your car, once I put gas in, then the wheels can start turning. It can go through the engine, and all that stuff starts to move and work because I have gas in the car now. And so it provides me energy. Carbohydrates have 5 categories. Write them down. You have fruit. You have grains. You have starchy vegetables. You have dairy, and you also have sweets like candy, cakes, and cookies. All of that is the energy for your body. Now, just like the oil tank, your gas tank can't be overfilled either. So the goal with carbs is to make sure you have the right amount without going overboard. So those of you who have decided to do the 3-section plate, where you've taken your plate, you divided it into 2 equal sections, and then divided one of those halves into 2 quarters, you're gonna put the carbohydrate that you choose and the other quarter next to the protein. So whether that be a fruit like watermelon or mango or pineapple or berries or an apple, or if you choose a grain like pasta, rice, quinoa, bread, or if you choose a starchy vegetable like potatoes, corn, green peas, you can put that in that section right next to the protein. And if you have the 4-section plate, you'll use another quarter. But if you have the 4-section plate, you can actually put a carbohydrate in 2 of the quarters. Okay? That's 2 sections. And remember, the carbohydrates are simply energy. They help the body go. They help the body move. Remember, we can't go without that energy. The goal is to make sure that we don't have too much to the point where now we're out of balance. So if I have too much, again, it's a waste. If I overfill my gas tank, it's a waste. It ends up all outside of the gas tank. I've paid too much money. Just like carbs, if I overfill the tank of carbs in my body, again, all of that turns into body fat, which increases my body weight. And then now I'm out of balance, and now I'm at risk for, other complications like, diabetes or heart disease, because weight is associated with these comorbidities or these medical conditions. So the goal is to not restrict. The goal is just to make sure we substitute and balance. That's all it is. And so instead of having rice and pasta and fruit and sweet, let's pick 1 or 2 and then substitute throughout the day. Maybe I'll have the fruit for breakfast, maybe I'll have the rice for lunch, and maybe I'll have, the bread for dinner. But there's not like a restriction here. We just got to figure out when we're going to have it and how much of it. So it's more about substitution and balance rather than overloading my plate at one time and overfilling my gas tank. Now here's the catch. Some people think, oh, I didn't have a carb for breakfast, so I can overfill at lunch. That is actually not true, because just like your gas tank, it can only hold so much at a time. So technically that carb section, you can only hold so much at one time. So you got to remember, you can't overload even in the moment. So that's number 2. The 3rd section is what we call a free section, and that's your vegetables. So that I like to call non-starchy vegetables, and they include things like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, kale, spinach, arugula, lettuce, beets, carrots, all that stuff, bok choy. The stuff that is colorful, it provides vitamins, it provides nutrients, it provides water, it provides fiber. Those foods are free because for a portion, they're less than 20 calories. They also are minimal in carbs. They're full of water. They're full of fiber, which water and fiber together make you feel full, so you eat less. And so you've also never heard anybody say that they've gained weight or they are unhealthy because they ate too many vegetables. And so if you have a plate where you have the 3 sections and you have the 2 smaller sections with your protein and your carbohydrate next to it, that big section is left for the vegetables. And if you have a 4-section plate, you do have a quarter of the plate made for vegetables, but you can also add as many vegetables as you choose. Now remember, the starchy vegetables are not free. The starchy vegetables are the ones that are in the carb family, which include potatoes. Rice is a carb, it's just not a starchy vegetable. But potatoes, peas, beans, corn, those items are starchy vegetables, and they're in the carb family. Remember, that's the gas for the car. The vegetables are more like water for the car. Like if you overfill it, it's not a waste. It'll dry, it's fine, but you still need water in the car because it's beneficial to keep things lubricated. And so in your body, Your vegetables, again, are great for antioxidants, which you can't get anywhere else. You cannot supplement antioxidants. They do not sell that in the store. They only are in vegetables, and it's based on the color. So make sure when you're eating vegetables, you find the red ones, the orange ones, the yellow ones, the purple ones, the white ones, the green ones. You want to mix and match all colors. Don't just eat the green ones, because now you're going to miss all the nutrients in the red ones or the orange ones or the yellow ones. So you want to try to make sure you have a variety of vegetables throughout the day. Now, the last category is fat. Now, that one is not on the plate, if you notice. There's no section for it, because there are not many foods that fall in the fat family. I like to say fat is a lot like your transmission fluid in your car. You rarely think about it, you don't do a lot of it, and a little bit goes a long way. And so if you have a little bit of fat, it's gonna go a long way, because it's really calorie dense, and it's gonna make you feel full with just a little bit, but at the same time, it has a lot of calories, so we don't wanna do too much of it, because it's gonna contribute again to that weight gain, or then now contributing to those health concerns that come down the line. And so fat doesn't even have a lot of food in the category. All you have in that category is olives, avocado, nuts and seeds. And then you have things like mayonnaise and salad dressing and, the stuff that we don't typically add a lot of. And so just be mindful to add those sparingly. Remember, a little bit of fat is going to go a long way. However, it is way more calorie dense than carbs and protein. So carbs and protein are about 4 calories for 1 gram, but fat is 9 calories for 1 gram. It's more than double the amount of calories for the same size. And so be careful about adding too much of that, but you can add a little bit, because remember, just like your transmission fluid in your car, a little bit goes a long way. Now, I'm just going to give you an idea of what my day looks like in regards to balancing and in regards to just following the basics. Again, this goes back to my routine. This goes back to my schedule. And I do often try to keep my eating balanced throughout the day so I can keep my energy level up, because I am so busy, just like you guys are on a regular basis. And so what I do is, for breakfast, I do have protein. I have eggs, and I typically make that with some kind of vegetable, whether it be like kale or spinach. I like to do my green vegetables in the morning. And in that section for my carbs, I use some kind of fruit. So remember, I do a 3-section plate for breakfast. So in one section for my protein, I have eggs, and another section for my carb, I have fruit. And in my vegetable section, I use some kind of green vegetable. That's for breakfast. For lunch, I do a 4-section plate, because I like to have a little bit more carbohydrates, because remember, the carbohydrates give you energy. And if I've gone through the morning and I have the rest of the afternoon and evening to go, then I want to have more energy, because it also gives me more opportunity to burn it. And so at my middle meal or my lunch meal, I have protein in one of those sections of the plate, the quarter of the plate. Then for my carb, I'll choose potatoes, or I'll choose rice, or I'll choose quinoa, or I'll even choose bread if I'm having a sandwich. And so if I'm having a sandwich, that would be 2 slices of bread. Or if I'm having rice, that'll be about, a cup of rice, or a cup of pasta, or a cup of potatoes. And a cup is 2 portions. So that goes in both of those sections, and then I'll pick a vegetable. And for dinner, I typically do a 3-section plate. So I go back to just doing 1 small portion of carbs. I do some protein, and I also do a big section of vegetables. So I'll give you an example. I might have tuna for dinner as my protein, and I'll have salad as my vegetable, and then I'll add some fruit on top of the salad, and that will be my carbohydrate. Now, if you have any questions about that, you get to live chat with me. And you can do that on the TLSC radio platform. All you do is click on the fan page at the top, find Minding My Temple, click there, and in the middle of your screen, you'll find a big button that says Listen Live, and under that, you'll see live chat. So make sure if you have any questions, live chat with me as this plays or airs. And again, you can always go back and listen to any episode, again, back on that fan page on www.tlscradio.com. Go again back to the fan page, click on Minding My Temple, and you can listen live there and also see all past episodes. Make sure you follow me on Instagram for any updates what I'm doing or any other information that I'm posting about nutrition, health, wellness, my meals, my movement, my mindfulness and migration, you'll find that all on my Instagram page, and that is at Minding My Temple. You can also now check me out on my YouTube page. Again, just go to the search engine in YouTube and type in Minding My Temple, and make sure you subscribe to that. And I'll be here with you guys every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on the TLSC radio platform. This is the Minding My Temple podcast. Y'all have a great week.